What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. So in this video, I want to try to show you essentially a quick, easy way to get the front axle shafts out on the GMT 360, 365 platform. This covers your Trailblazers, Envoys, the Saab 97X, the Buick Rainier, all of those. The front differential is bolted to the oil pan. In order to get the engine out, you need to remove the axle shafts, or just if you're replacing the axle shafts because they're old and worn out like mine are. So I'm going to show you how I do it, and hopefully this will help out if you're trying to do it. All right, so I've already done the basics of this project, which are get the vehicle up on jack stands and get the wheels and tires off. So in order to do this and have enough space to get the axle shaft out, we're gonna need to get the upper ball joint out of the upper control arm, take out the nut, or the bolt rather, so we can lean this whole steering knuckle out. That's gonna give us enough space to actually be able to get the axle shaft out. When I do it, I start by getting these wires. This is the wheel speed sensor wire. So I get this unhooked from the steering knuckle. That gives it plenty of slack. So when I lean the knuckle out, I'm not pulling against this wire. The next thing I always do is get the nut off the end of the axle shaft. Now the next thing, the upper ball joint on these, the shank goes into the upper control arm, and then it has this pinch bolt here. So when you loosen and remove the pinch bolt, you should be able to drive the shank down out of the upper control arm. It shouldn't take a ton of force, but you do need to separate these two components. It also helps give you a little bit more slack to remove the two 10mm bolts that hold the brake hose to the knuckle. And that's going to give you a little bit more room to droop the knuckle out away from the differential. Okay, so you see I've got everything unhooked. That gives me lots of room to hang my knuckle out away from the differential. Now the next step is to actually get the axle shaft knocked out of the differential itself. So these front axle shafts are retained by a snap ring, just like in a front wheel drive car or anything else that uses a press in, not a press in, but a snap in axle shaft. And these are my new axle shafts here. On this platform, they're the same on both sides. They're symmetrical. And you can see here is the little snap ring. And basically it just compresses as it slips in, and then once it reaches far enough, there's a ring machined inside the differential in the side gear that this snaps into to retain it. Now the trick is getting the old one out. This is where I see tons of people struggle and struggle and struggle and damage the differential and just have a myriad of problems. So I'm going to show you how I do it. It seems to work pretty well. An important note here, when you pop that axle shaft out, gear oil is going to leak out of the differential, assuming it's full. So you're going to want a drain pan or something underneath to catch that oil, and you want to have your new shaft close by so you can get it put back in quickly. Okay, so here's the tricky part. I'm going to do the best I can to try to show you what I'm doing here. So we're under the truck. You can see right in the center of the screen there is the axle shaft. If I reach up, I can turn it. So what works well for me is get it so one of the 3 ears, I call them, is right here where you have good access to it, mostly in a straight line. Now once I have that axle shaft where I can access it, I use this pry bar, and it's just a driving pry bar. I bought this one from Snap-on, but you can use whatever you have. It doesn't have to be a pry bar. It could be a long punch or even just a long piece of bar stock. And I'm lined up as straight as I can get against the back side of that ear. I'm going to give it a good hard smack with my little mini sledgehammer here. Now, don't be afraid to hit it. In fact, the harder you can hit it the first time, the more likely you are to be able to just pop it out of that groove and get that axle shaft right out. And I've got my oil drain pan underneath to catch the oil that comes out. There it goes. There. So now you can see I've got the axle shaft popped out loose off the snap ring. I've got some oil dripping out. Now I'll be able to get to the other side, pull the shaft the rest of the way out of the differential, then pull the shaft out of the front wheel bearing, and it'll be removed. All right, now this is usually the trickiest part of the whole process, is just getting the axle shaft maneuvered out. I find, shove the outer part as far into the knuckle, the front wheel bearing as you can, and then give a little tap. Come on out of there. There we go. And you should be able to wiggle it right out. And there's my old axle shaft out. I'm going to do a quick comparison with my new one, and then I'm going to put it all back together. Yep. It looks right to me, team. So now reassembly is just the opposite of disassembly. Hook up in there, put the wheel bearing end of the shaft in first. Line up your axle shaft. Now to put it back together, usually you can just push it into place with the knuckle itself, like that. And that's not quite all the way in. So I'm going to take my pry bar on those nice machined ridges and see if I can't tap it in the rest of the way. No, I cannot. Huh. Well, I'm going to be honest, I've never had that happen before. Usually they've all just popped right back in there. There it goes. Just need a little bit more love. So now, I just got to put it all back together. Get the upper control arm back into position. There we go. Get my bolt pushed through. Get that started. Yeah, now just put everything back where it came from. Or, if you don't need to, if you're not putting it back together, if you're just pulling one out to get the engine out in a junkyard or somewhere like that, don't worry about it, because you probably don't want the front differential anyway. There we go. One side complete, nothing to it. And do the same process on the other side.
A few moments later.
All right, well, I've got both new axle shafts in. There's the driver's side. There's the two old ones. And there's the passenger side, nice and new. And like I said, team, they're symmetrical. There's no driver's side, passenger side. They're exactly the same both sides. The remove and replace procedure is exactly the same on both sides. So, really not difficult, especially, I mean, I'm really targeting this video for you guys that are going to the junkyard to try to score yourself an aluminum 5.3, an LM4, or in the later years, an LH6, because I mean, I see these Trailblazers and Envoys, the Saabs, the Ascenders, the Rainiers. I see them on Marketplace with blown up transmissions for under $1,000. I see them in the junkyard with engines that turn over just fine, smooth as butter. You know, so you can get an engine at a junkyard price. And the thing that everybody says, it's not worth it, it's not worth it, it's not worth it, is getting those axle shafts out so you can lift the engine out so it'll clear the frame rails. Guys, I just removed and replaced these axle shafts in less than a half hour. If all you're gonna do is knock the old ones out and throw them in the dirt behind you, 15 minutes, tops. And, you know, you get on with pulling the engine out. It's really not a big deal. These are an untapped resource for cheap aluminum 5.3 engines to put into your race car or whatever else. So the last thing I do is in here, this is our driver's side axle shaft right at the you know, I'll call that the 10 o'clock position, is the fill plug for the front differential. It's an 18mm hex, so you just get yourself an 18mm socket with a couple extensions. Take that baby out, fill it up until there's gear oil right up to the hole, and then put the plug back in and you're topped off with oil. So there you go, guys. Quick, relatively easy, no special tools. You just need a pry bar you can bang on and you know, your standard sockets, and you can get these axle shafts out lickety split. Thanks a lot for watching. I really hope this helps you. And until the next video, everybody, take care.